A
good man is hard to find.
And we found one for us today, which is excellent.
All right, let me make sure we got the things are rolling. Bum, bum, bing. Jim is in the chat room.
The Tara train, woo woo, get on
the tracks.
It's better than the Trump train, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Jeez.
I mean, you know.
Beep, beep, beep,
If
beep,
you know,
bop,
you
know.
know.
It looks like we have liftoff. Let me see.
Liftoff.
I'm just checking.
As soon as we hear that music, we are good.
I am just checking everything underneath, kicking the wheels. Here we go.
There it is. I thought I heard the music. Oh, yep, there it is.
You heard it.
The music there. It means the show is starting. Dublin and Devlin are super excited. A special guest will join us soon. Hey, everybody, it's the Tara Show. Hi.
I'm doing the robot.
Tuesday. July 15th, we have what I don't know. Why did you do it? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
feeling goofy.
It's it's terrific. Tara's TNT Dynamite Tuesday, and we are anticipating the imminent arrival of our very special guest, former GOP Congressman and now registered Democrat, Joe Walsh, will be joining us very, very shortly. We just wanted to take a couple of moments to get all caught up on the events of the day. And if you're an East Coaster, while you was probably sleeping, the 7 Republicans decided that, the Epstein files, which they claim don't exist, or maybe Obama wrote them, or maybe I don't know where they
Bill
think maybe
Clinton, something. Yeah, I don't know.
Bill Clinton and Kamala Harris wrote the Epstein files with Joe Biden and Barack Obama, but they don't exist. The list that was never on Pam Bondi's desk, but the binders that were released were redacted but aren't real, whatever. Anyway, all 7 of those 7 Republicans voted on that last night, and they were like, no, we don't want them read on the congressional floor. And first of all, I watched that happen, and it's irritating to watch them do this in what was the middle of the night, basically, for the East Coast, but very late here on the West Coast. And I could not wait till this morning to call, but I started with Virginia Fox. And remember, kids, the extra X in Fox is for extra terrible. So, and we're calling her the MAGA Mama. I like that nickname for her. Oh, she talks like
she would probably like it. Yeah, herself.
This cross-eyed crone.
Mm-hmm.
This cross-eyed crone. I almost called her the C word when I called, but I did not.
No,
anyway, her voicemail. First of all, you have to sit through like a 4-minute voicemail because her outgoing message. Because they had her record her own outgoing voicemail message.
Oh, that must be so irritating.
Oh, I want you to know how entertaining it is, because you need to listen to this woman try to explain how to. Or you can email my website.
www.htp.
Stop even right there. She doesn't even do the third W. She goes www dot. So already it starts with the www dot.
People know it's a www now. It's kind of a given.
And then she gives, or you could write me a letter to this address.
Even though we hate the post office.
Oh my God.
Just defunding that post office, those evil union workers. Oh, socialism sucks, doesn't it?
This at the pace of like a Civil War widow. Like she has it goes
like a Ken Burns documentary.
Unreal. It was like, I almost went, dear Paul. We have lingered long here in in our House committee, and we have decided that protecting a pedophile is more important than anything else, as is our AIPAC money. All 7 of those people who voted.
Wait, you have to read it again. This is the Ken Burns music.
Dearest Paul. 7 of us combined in a hearing room, and decided it was not the right time for us to be discussing the Epstein file. And instead, we have decided to protect the pedophile that is Donald Jehoshaphat Trump and his minions that he does sex trafficking with. Mr. Jeffrey Epstein of the Judaism nation. And
of the tribes of Israel.
Of the tribes of Israel that are many, that we would enumerate, for they are so
The
many.
tablets of
And-
Josephus in the
and his
God
and
help
his known mistress slash pimpette. Her name is Ghislaine
Ghislaine.
Maxwell.
Oh,
Ghislaine. Get along, Ghislaine Maxwell. Paul, we are here to preserve the sanctity of our Donald Jehoshaphat Trump, and we all stand with him. We send you blessings here from Washington, D.C. Yours forever, Virginia Cross-Eyed Fox.
I'm
There
just
it
looking
is.
at the Ken Burns soundtrack. That's all. I got to keep that
It
one
is.
handy. That's a good one.
That's a good one. I like that one. I like that one for us. And you know what I did? Y'all, while we're waiting for Joe Walsh to call in, imminently, I called all 7 of those people. And if I didn't get a human being, I left a portion of Katie Johnson's testimony on their voicemail, for it is disgusting.
Oh, wow.
And then
Oh, wow.
those who answered, these young interns who answered the phone, I said, I know it's not your job to answer these questions. Is a comms director available? And I got the emails of 2 comms directors and emailed them both for a quote about this before Joe Walsh would join us, because I'm like, I have a former registered Republican who's going to be on with us. I'd like a current one because, whatever.
Wow.
And they were like, and I said, I have a deadline. And strangely, haven't heard back. Also, one Republican voted with Democrats. Representative Ralph Norman of South Carolina, who mostly is MAGA and votes, for and with his caucus most of the time.
I wonder what
for.
that's about. Yeah.
So did I, and therefore I also called Representative Ralph Norman before I joined us today and said I'm pleased by this, yet also curious, and would like to know his thinking and his thought process, because the remainder of them were like, no, thank you, please. And I'd like to know, again, I'm a child of who is curious, and I'm a student of humanity, and I'm just curious about people and what makes them tick. And so if I can understand, that's fine. Helps me understand you, and I can deal with you. I'd love to know why Rep Norman was like, no, we need to vote on this and let everybody hear. And so with some of my other time today, I also called Ro Khanna's office, because he's the one who introduced the amendment, just to give him props, right? Because I think it's really important for us to, let Democrats know that they're doing a good job when they are. And I called his office and got the voicemail, and I said, hey, by the way, while you're doing
we're
this,
getting a
you have
call.
my permission. Yay! You have my permission to use my clip.
Hold
So we'll
on,
see what
Joe.
happens.
You're in the green room. Hi, Joe. Hold on.
Hey, Joe.
We're-
Where you going with those girls
We're
on
getting
the
ready.
screen? I'm so excited. So excited. Are we so excited?
Joe Walsh is
Joe.
in
Oh, man.
the house.
There he is. Hey, Joe, what do you know?
Oh my God, 2 teras. This
I
is
know.
like awesome.
TNT.
It's the best sandwich on the internet. Just
Oh
so
my
you know.
God, you 2. It's so
Thank
good to
you.
be with you both.
Thank you for being
It's
here.
so good to see you. I haven't seen you since the DNC. Do you recall?
I do. You
met-
gave me a very cold shoulder at the DNC.
Get out of
I
here.
For the
did
record,
not.
for the record.
I absolutely
Wait,
did
I
not. You
actually
kissed
have-
me on the cheek.
I
We
have
embraced.
proof
Look
that
at
that did not happen.
Look at
Tara,
that.
technically,
Look at that.
there, Devlin, I had
Look
to
at
force
that.
myself. I had to force her to stand there because there were other important people
Ah.
that she would be with. I just wanted my picture taken with her.
Right.
No,
That's
this
it.
is not what happened. This is not what happened. Joe Walsh was a man on the move and had about
Thank you,
14
Joe.
seconds to stand still with me as he was making the rounds. That time was so insane because everywhere you looked, there was somebody that you wanted to talk to for whatever reason, right, Joe? And I ran into so many, fellow influencers and members of Congress and people who were like, I got an interview here, but hit me up and da-da-da. And I think that's where we met. And that was also the day that I was on the floor. And so that was an awesome, awesome night at the DNC. But we're about to have a conversation that we could never have imagined happening back in August.
Or
which
back
is,
back when you were a Tea Party person.
Oh my God.
Woo!
Yeah,
Right?
think
Jesus.
about that.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah, I would like.
It is the evolution of Joe Walsh is like, there's your memoir right there. That's your next
There's
book.
a movie.
The
That's a
evolution.
movie. That's a
Right.
movie.
I
From
want to
the
really
TNC
understand
coming
this.
Make
out.
it happen. Yeah, who'd you back in 2016? Who was your guy? Who were
Trump.
you backing back 10 years ago?
So, and honestly, all kidding aside, it's awesome to be with you both. I mean it.
We're
Thank
so
you,
happy
Tara.
to have you. We're
Tara,
delighted. Thank you for making this time.
Thank you for the invite. It's awesome to be with you. You know me. I'm the reform MAGA gangbanger.
Yes.
I voted for Trump in 16 like a fucking knucklehead. I didn't pay attention enough to who he was. I didn't take him seriously, so I voted. My mistake. And
It's
I've had to
okay.
apologize.
So you thought Hillary was going to beat him?
And you've
Did
been
you think he was
apologizing
gonna
for.
lose?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, Tara, I knew he was going to win because when he ran in 16, I was a nationally syndicated right-wing radio guy. And I'm telling you, he struck a nerve with these people
Right.
that
I
most
know.
like smart political people, talking heads were not picking up. So
Yep.
it scared me, but I figured he was going to win. And Hillary, look, if I could have that vote over again, yes, I would have voted for Hillary. I would have loved to have had Hillary in a room for an hour and shaken her up because she didn't. I don't think she took Trump seriously.
Right. I'm sure she didn't. He was, and in
Until
fact,
the debate.
yeah, we all considered him a clown for the most part. And I think for me personally, I thought the American people would never go for this. But then a friend of mine who lives in the South, and she was telling me that, and she travels a lot too. So sort of like you had a finger on the pulse of what was going on. And she said everywhere she goes, it's just Trump, 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 and Trump signs for wherever she goes. And everyone is really enthused.
You two remember, and like I was not an establishment congressman. I've never been an establishment person. You remember like one of those first debates when Trump was running in 2015 with Jeb and Cruz and all of them. And they had that first debate where Trump was on the stage and he started to say all the crazy, stupid, weird shit. And I remember getting calls from all of my Republican establishment people. And they were saying, see, Joe, this is a joke. He's not fucking going anywhere. But every Republican who would call into my radio show, they loved him. And they would say, finally, Joe, finally there's somebody listening to me. Yes. So like I saw that disconnect between the establishment and the regular guy on the street, and the Republican Party just never got it.
Right. And I remember that debate, too, because I couldn't believe they were discussing the sizes of their dicks in that debate.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong there.
Boy.
I mean, what? That's why it's absolutely shocking to see the devolution of the Republican Party. You know, I've always been...
One thing Trump was really right about from the beginning, he was right about how fucking weak the Republican Party was. Because look how easily he took it over.
Right.
I mean, they laid down for him. And then, because like when I stood up against Trump 7 years ago and said, I oppose this guy and I'm going to do everything I can to beat him, I looked behind me and I thought other Republicans would follow, and nobody did.
Why though? That's what I have to understand this, because you are in there.
The biggest question.
What the hell? They must know what he is.
Well, so yes, they do. So when I first came out against Trump 7 years ago, every one of my former Republican colleagues would call me privately and say, Joe, I agree with you. He's a piece of shit, but I can't say that publicly. Now, and I don't think my new party, the Democratic Party, gets this, but like now the MAGA crazies, they've taken over the party. Yes. So there are a lot more Republicans in the House and Senate who like really believe in Trump. That wasn't the case 7 years ago. But Tara Devlin, you asked me why, like why wouldn't they do what Joe Walsh did or Adam Kinzinger did?
Yes.
Because when you do what we did, to be blunt, you lose everything.
Yeah.
I took a blowtorch to my career. My media days were over. I could never run as a Republican again. You put up with death threats every week. And most politicians, they fucking love the gigs they got. They don't want to lose it. They don't want to lose it.
Yeah, the power, the access, the cushy, phony baloney, jobs. They spend more time doing podcasts. That's the truth. Ted Cruz, I mean, he does a podcast every day. I don't know how the hell he does it. his own podcast.
He doesn't do his job.
Exactly. And then he goes on other people's
useless.
podcasts. It's crazy. That's
I
all they
was,
have.
I was back in my right-wing radio days. I was being groomed to. Now, don't get mad at me, you two, because I was very different than Rush. I was very different.
We get it.
Yeah.
I was different than Rush Limbaugh, but I was being groomed to be the next big right-wing radio guy. But as soon as I came out against Trump, they told me to get lost because
wow.
you can't, in conservative media, you can't oppose Trump.
Right. That's it.
I've
That's
never
their
seen
bread and
anything
butter. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
let me ask you a question, Joe. I'm old enough to remember, as are you, when the Russians hacked both the DNC and RNC servers, and they only released what they knew about the Democrats to make them look bad, and they held on to everything they found out about the Republicans. And do you think that helped Trump in that way, and that's why Republicans became so steadfastly loyal, because they're afraid that some sort of compromise will be released on them? Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, those two spring to mind more than any others, specifically because Lindsey was really talking tough about him even after his first inauguration. And then all of a sudden they go play golf and he comes back and he's like, hey guys, he's really not that bad. And we're like, what the hell did he say to you? So do you think that there's stuff floating out there about them that they're more interested in protecting themselves and therefore they're just kind of stuck staying loyal to him or else?
So, Tara, I think you're right. I think with certain Republicans in the House and Senate, there is specific shit on them that they don't want out. No doubt about it. And you've mentioned a couple names. I won't go any further. But for most of them, it's, I want to keep my office. I want to keep people voting for me. I want to stay in power. I want to keep my popular radio show. I want to be able to go on Fox News every day. I love this shit. You don't want to lose
I want
it.
that sweet, sweet APAC money. I want that sweet, sweet APAC money, says Virginia Fox and the other 6 who voted against moving the vote forward. Whoa.
My God, I served with her. She was like 200 years when I served with her.
Oh my God.
She's always been 200 years old. I can never imagine her young.
We're calling her the MAGA Mama. Can you help us make that stick? The MAGA Mama. Because
that's pretty good.
We have to make that stick. That's right. I'm an untapped gold mine here, Joe. Recognize. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
Here's the deal, though. They've never been afraid of Trump. They're afraid of MAGA voters. They know Trump has a hold on their voters. And that's what scares them.
Yeah. They're afraid of physical violence. Am I correct? Or not?
That's a very
Tom
big
Tillis is.
part of it. Yes, now I have very little fucking patience for that, because when you come out against Trump as a Republican, you put up with threats and violence all the time. So these guys are paid to do their fucking job. So I think Tara, I think some of these Republicans make a big deal about potential violence from the base as an excuse. I really do.
You're right. Yep. All they have to do is stick together. This is what I never understood, even from the beginning. They had so many opportunities to excise that cancer from the body politic, and they chose to just not take those opportunities, and they all covered their own asses. All they had to do was stick together and do it, as one unit. And
it's
I think,
a great point, Tara. It's a great point. So my question to you is, and I think about this, I think it had to be done early, right? Because now I think it's too big of a monster to ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had a moment there early. And by the way, Mitch fucking McConnell.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell is the one guy who could have permanently ended Trump.
That's right.
By convicting him in the Senate, and then he never could have run again.
Yep.
Ah.
And after January 6th, in the very least, this is, that's why we're living in a very precarious moment. And I know you talk about that all the time. Yeah. And one of the things that when I listen to you, you're trying to reach out and be this bridge and but the thing that I wanted to discuss too was what I think is that the problem, we're in this boat because of two things: money and politics on one hand, and the corporate media. We are living in two different universes of information. So it's not just about talking to someone that might have a different point of view. That's fine, but we don't even have different. I mean, we don't even have the same facts. So where do you
Bingo.
go from there?
So, like, I don't know that a democracy can stand as long as we
Exactly.
continue on this road. I really don't. And even though MAGA is further down the road of, I hate the people I disagree with. They're my enemies. I want
That's
nothing to
right.
do with them. I'd argue, and I say this to my new fellow Democrats, too many Democrats are on that road. Not as far. I get it, though. I get it, because MAGA is just in their own universe. But even take Trump out of the equation, as long as we continue on this road where we're so fucking divided, I don't know if it stays together. I really
Right.
don't.
Yeah, you can't. That's what he has done, as authoritarians do, devalue the currency of truth, basically. And that's what,
Bingo.
if you can't, there's no trust left in the country, and that's part of the problem. And, well, like you're saying, the Republican Party, it's not about, we all have the same goals and we just have different ideas how to get there. They can't even say the name of the Democratic Party. They call it the Democrat Party, which drives me up the wall. And
She hates that so much. We both hate that so much.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, it's emblematic of everything they are. To me, it's juvenile. It says they have nothing to offer. They're divisive. They're not, partners in good faith. If you can't even call somebody by their name, where do you go?
Totally. Bring it
Yeah.
on, bring it on. You are exactly right. And again, I walk around naked. I'm a public figure. I used to do more of that
Right.
shit than I'm
Yeah.
proud of.
That's what I
And
want to
I've-
talk about too, because that's what the other thing is. I, of course, I've been doing this a while too, but I remember the Tea Party,
Yeah.
and I remember you were a big part of the Tea Party, but you started your career as a social worker. So
Yeah.
that to me is kind of, you're enigma wrapped in a riddle there, because
From Florida.
right.
I mean,
How-
like all of
you
it.
know,
It's like, well, what?
because you definitely, to be a social worker, you have to, in my opinion, you have to have a good heart and you have to want to contribute to your community. Then you go and you identify with the Tea Party, which is really about, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, kind of breaking all that down, defunding that. Get your bootstraps, bud, and you're on your own.
I've got to write the book on the Tea Party because there is a lot of bad with it, but I came up politically through it. There's a lot of, everybody's got different ideas on what the Tea Party was. But Tara, to your point, I've always been kind of a do-gooder mission guy. I've always been more libertarian, which is I've always generally believed in a leaner, smaller government, and not a huge government, and we're all responsible for each other. And that's why I've done a lot of social work and teaching, because I always felt like in the private sector, we should help the less
Right.
fortunate. But I get it. Democrats, rightly, my new party, generally believes in a more activist government to help those
Right.
who need help. But isn't that great? Like, that should be the debates we have every day.
Yeah.
Instead, we talk
Right.
about fucking Trump and Epstein and all the
I
crazy
know.
shit he does every day.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
Tara,
What-
to your
I mean,
point, the Tea Party led to MAGA. I
Yes.
fully acknowledge that. And when the Tea Party became full on MAGA, I said, "Ooh, this is bad. I'm out of here." No
Right,
doubt.
right.
I own a lot of that.
Right.
That's,
And I want to.
that's great because most Republicans don't want to ever have to be held accountable.
Exactly.
Ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, you are an anomaly coming from there, but you're also now with us. And what I love about that is you have a unique perspective on how Republicans behave publicly versus how they act privately. And you did mention that a little bit earlier. Where do you
Right.
think now that all of these MAGA influencers are super mad about the way Pam Bondi is handling this Epstein thing, and we're not going to dwell too much on the Epstein thing because we spend a lot of time around it and we have other important things to talk about. But to me, it's really fascinating to watch some of them break from Trump and say, you lied to us. You said this was not this. And you said, now you're saying you said there was a list and now there's not. So if there was a list, then Obama and Biden wrote it. Like they're like this close, right? They're this close. So where do they go from here? What is like, because here's a blatant truth that so many of them are admitting and can't deny. And then there are plenty of them who are like, well, we're just not going to talk about it. Like the 7 from last night. So what does this do to the party?
This is, Tara, this is going to really ding Trump. And this is going to fuck up the base. This is like the first attack against Trump that's like come from inside the house. And Trump's always been able to say, oh, CNN's after me, or the deep state's after me, or whatever. And his base follows him. I talk to these folks every day, and for the last few days, they've like been fucking confused. Like they don't understand. Yeah. They were promised, to simplify it, Bill Clinton's head on a platter. Right? Yeah. Right? And all these other Democratic deep state pedophilia.
Yeah, this is going to blow it all open. The whole, Pizzagate pedophile ring. And
all the Pepes were ready.
The adrenochrome suckers and shit.
Now nothing to see here. So like they don't understand this. And most of the right-wing talkers out there are like still pissed off.
Yeah.
So Trump's going to have to find a way to smooth this out, because I can tell you, talking to his base every day, they're upset. They're upset.
Even Marjorie Taylor Greene wants the Epstein files released.
Well, they had that turning point thing over the weekend, and you could see the montage of all of them banging the podium, and this is not going away. And he's tweeting, let's forget about the Epstein files. It's just not working.
Bringing back Rosie O'Donnell.
Seriously. I know, just trying everything.
I've already seen this show. I don't need to watch the reruns. Thank you very much.
I don't think his typical playbook's going to work on this one, because again, this is like nothing animates the base more than this notion of the deep state.
Yes.
And this was the deep state mother of all scandals that they were promised. So Trump's got to do something different. Politically, this is going to hurt him with his base. And by the way, that hurts Republicans, because a lot of his base are not Republicans. They just fucking love him. Right. And they won't vote next year if they're totally disillusioned.
That's so true. And I wonder, will they put it together? If he's lied about this, what about everything else?
No. No. Most won't.
The 90 bills in 90 days? That didn't happen.
Here's the funny thing, you two adorable Taras.
Thank you.
If Trump came out tomorrow and said, the reason the files aren't going to be released, damn it, because I'm all over the files, and damn it, I was with underage girls, I'm sorry. If Trump said that to his base, damn near all of his base would forgive him and they'd move on.
You are right.
It's so gross.
It's so true. Because I saw this Triumph, the comic dog clip of, they did some fake focus group with MAGA supporters, and they asked him, they had some fake Donald Trump quotes, and one was about his daughter, that he wanted to get a DNA test about it for his daughter, because why? I don't want to miss this opportunity. If maybe she's not my daughter, and maybe I let this one go. And they were making excuses for it. They were saying, well, he's still a man, when it comes right down to it, he's a man. Excuses for wanting to, have sex with his daughter. And so, I think you're 100% correct. They would, if he was honest about it.
I'm not alone. We've all said it. My former party is a cult. It makes me so sad to say that. But he is a cult leader. And the right, I'll say this, you two come more from the left. I think the right is much more susceptible to embracing a strong man, an authoritarian.
Yes, I agree.
They're more like the daddy party. And I'll tell you, I've had enough of his base people tell me over the years, they don't fucking care. They will say to me, I don't care, Joe, if he's a fucking dictator. I want my old America back.
And what is that, though? What is old America? Is that where white people at the top and everybody else knows their place and fights over the scraps? I mean, that's what I'm wondering.
Tara, that's part of it. It's like their vision, Beaver Cleaver, it's like their vision of, I want 1950s America back, where America was mostly a white Christian country. My dad worked at the plant in town. Men were men, women were women, and you know what?
Right.
Men married women, and women married men. And
That's
you
right.
could say Merry Christmas, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, that's
And
so true. That is, see,
we
they
want
they
that
long. That's the good old days, but they don't long for the. See, when I always think about this, with when they go, they want the good old days of Beaver Cleaver, but they don't. They want the social mores, the racial hierarchies, the gender hierarchies, but they don't want the 90% top marginal tax rate, the 35% unionized workforce, the policies that actually made the middle class possible to begin with.
Right.
All of those are, they don't even consider that. The strong social safety net that we had, that was because of the New Deal and government policies, that didn't happen, because billionaires
Sure,
felt
you're
like
right.
trickling.
Look, I was Tea Party, my version of the Tea Party, because I was so fucking pissed off about the debt.
Yeah.
What I found out was when I went to Washington, Republicans don't give a damn
No.
about the debt. Duh. But I found out that a lot of my Tea Party supporters really didn't, and they were more into this cultural stuff.
Yes.
And that's the stuff that Trump tapped into after
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whenever I went down to, because I live in New York, when Trump was being indicted one of the times, there was a protest, and they separated us, pro-Trump and normal people, right? And so,
Hey.
and that's all they were.
You're
the
one of the
MAGA
normal people.
yeah,
Joe.
you're normal now.
You're with
so.
us. You're normal.
So
This is after.
Exactly. The MAGA people, what was so fascinating was that all they kept screaming about were trans people and genders and I'm like, what fucking business is it of yours? But it's so fascinating because no one was talking about genders 5 years ago, but they just started hitting that because they weren't getting the same bang for their buck against regular old gays, and so they went for the trans people.
Now, in their defense, Tara, and you guys can disagree with this, and I'm not, like, as a general rule, I do my damnedest not to go after his supporters because they used to be my supporters. And even though I get pissed at them every day, I feel sorry for them because they've been lied to
you're right.
and abused and taken advantage of. But in their defense, and they've told me this, it doesn't excuse it. Like, if you think about it, the world has changed so fast. Like, people forget this. 12 or 13 years ago, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton opposed same-sex marriage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, all good.
Don't
And
ask,
I
don't
believe in
tell.
freedom. But, like, some of these changes have happened really fast.
Yep.
And some of these MAGA folk, their heads are spinning.
Yeah.
And along comes a demagogue like Trump and all the idiots on Fox News, and they just feed their anger and their confusion.
Right. That's
That
true.
makes
And
you-
And what it is, and going back to you saying that about the lies and everything else, and this is a good, I think, segue into something that's a problem with the MAGA cult. When you claim that you're the pro-life party and you're pro-children and you're pro-protecting children, you're not, though, when you're dismantling the Department of Education, you're ignoring the Epstein files, and you're deporting toddlers with cancer. And I know that the ICE stuff is really a huge, like, your top issue right now.
yes.
Yeah.
And that there have been distractions from this because we live in the most insane timeline, and it's really, really hard to keep focus. But we here can multitask our outrage, as can most Democrats. So on the one hand, you have the hypocrisy, or I like to call them Trumpocrats, saying we're the pro-life party, we care about children, but I'm taking away your ability to have health care for these children and their food and their Medicare, and then we're going to put you in camps if you do anything wrong. So what I want you to do is take the time, because we really haven't been able to take enough time here on the Tara Show to talk about what ICE is doing, and especially what they're doing in Florida, because I feel like Florida is a testing ground for what they plan to do throughout the country.
Tara, if I were with you right now, I'd give you a big kiss. Because
And I would let you.
And
I
she
would let
would-
you kiss me right on the mouth.
She wants
right
that,
on
I
the
think.
mouth. You nailed it.
You're
Tara,
making
you
her
nailed
blush. You're making her blush.
She doesn't blush. Tara does not blush. Look, and that's why I'm in kind of a cool position, because I'm not of the left. I'm a big border hawk. Defend your
Yeah.
border. But what Trump, and disagree with me, I think this issue of immigration and the border, Democrats, to their fault, kind of ignored until it was too late. Biden in his last year tried to do something about it. So they kind of ignored it. And then Republicans do what Republicans do. They fucking lied about it and demagogued it, and they're eating dogs and cats and all the rest to scare people, fear of the other.
Right.
And we're not being invaded.
Yeah. So now he's elected and he's implementing this ugly, extreme, cruel, un-American policy, which, by the way, I think is going to lose them the election next year more than any other issue. Because most Americans are not cruel. Most Americans are not cruel. They don't want this. You're a violent criminal and you're in this country illegally. Get out. But these people, these good, hardworking folks who, by the way, guys, they've taken advantage of a system that our fucking politicians and business community created.
That's
the business community and politicians fucked up this immigration system. Why don't you fucking deport them?
You're right.
Why are we? That's what just pisses
Where's
me
my
off.
applause sound effect?
We
Because that's
one of
unbelievable. That's what I've been saying. If they really wanted to solve the problem, they would go after the business owners and hire these undocumented workers, and they don't.
I can tell you, every private conversation I've had with every Republican in D.C. behind closed doors, they don't want to touch these business leaders.
That's right.
Not at all.
Unreal. Donald Trump himself has used undocumented workers at Mar-a-Lago.
And just the hypocrisy of him saying, well, we're not going to touch the farmers or the hotel people now. Go about your business. Oh, okay. There's still no law in place, and he blocked the law. And I do believe that it was all, of course, because he wanted the performance of the cruelty, and they really liked the chaos.
And guys, the headline is just plain and simple. We have a fucking concentration camp in America.
Yeah.
That thing down in Florida is a concentration camp. And that big, ugly bill, the big, ugly bill they passed, is there's money in there to fund alligator Alcatrazes in other states.
Right.
My beef with my new party, the Democrats, is fucking fight.
Yeah.
Fucking punch these guys. Democrats this is on a platter.
You're
man.
right. You're right. 100%. And because this is the thing, I think the Democrats, they suck at messaging. This is one of the things that we're all pissed off about.
Because we're playing nice, right?
Exactly.
You want to play nice. You want to look like you're a good guy doing good. I would contend that one of the greatest things that Democrats can do is when Republicans put dumb shit out into the world to try to make us look bad, then we co-opt it and make them look bad. Like when they tried with Let's Go Brandon, and then we just embraced it, and we have Dark Brandon, and it became ours, and it made them look stupid. And when you can use their words against them, I think it's the most effective tactic. And what I would like to see Democrats doing as one of our most unifying messages from this point forward, take what Mitch McConnell said about Obamacare, but make it about the big ugly bill and say we're going to repeal and replace Trump's big ugly bill when we get our majority back. Use that. And
you have to.
I'd like to ask you specifically, Joe, because like Tara said, we have a problem with messaging. One of the things that I would like to see our party have is our own Democratic press secretary, not someone who's already in Congress. Someone like yourself who's out there in the world, who is invested in democracy and the truth, to be out there every day after Caroline lies to the press, to hold a press conference and say, this is what actually happened and this is what Democrats do. And I've been trying to get this into the world since February. So, like, how do we make our party listen to us?
Tara, again, if I were with you right now, I'd kiss you again.
You guys get a room.
I know, huh?
He has a wife, though. You got a wife, don't you?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I didn't mean it. I didn't know. I'm sorry.
That's right.
No, that's okay.
It's a good thing there's a continent between us, Joe.
Tara, that's a great idea, but it cannot be a Washington politician.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want it to be a Washington politician. I want like Jessica Tarlov from Fox News. I want Jessica Tarlov because she's awesome.
She's great. Democrats talk like politicians, which is just utter bullshit.
Yeah,
They don't
it's bullshit.
sound like righteously pissed off people. And there's a fear.
100%.
Like there's a fear when I never had this problem, but like everything they say, they don't want to offend somebody. So I've got to talk to 30
It's so
different
true.
consultants to make sure that this word I'm about to say doesn't offend. Fuck it. Say
Right.
it.
Yeah,
Just
fuck
say it.
Fuck
Yeah.
it is right. We are
Right.
past
Fuck
the
this.
niceties, right?
Right. This is how the worst, the most prolific liar in American, well, in world history probably, ran as a truth teller, and
Yes.
people believed it. As opposed to the Democrats who, like you're saying, they sound like they're full of shit. They sound like politicians. And I think that's what the American people want, a fighter. They want people who are going to stand up for them. And, you know, when you're
Bingo.
thinking about, well, who am I going to offend? It's, you know, you've already lost.
I got to
that
be
game.
honest, you guys. Totally right, Tara. I want a fighter. I don't care if it's a far left fighter or a center or a
Yeah.
moderate fighter. I want a fighter, and I want somebody who doesn't talk like a politician. There is a yearning among voters for authenticity.
Yep.
Trump fakes like he's authentic. He's fooled his voters.
Yep.
But Trump doesn't look. Let's be real. Trump doesn't sound or talk like an overly consulted politician.
No.
He's evil. He's evil.
Yes.
But we
He's
need
dumb.
a good.
Yes, exactly.
We need a good Democratic version of that. Just somebody
Right.
authentic who's not afraid to
Who
say
do you
it.
like?
Right.
Who do you like these days?
I-
Are
I-
you seeing anybody emerging as a leader, as a stronger voice? I mean, I'm seeing some Senate Democrats, like my two senators, Merkley and Wyden, are doing a really great job pushing back against this administration and holding them accountable. My former Senator Patty Murray, who's the longest sitting member of the Senate Democrats right now, she's great. I do think that we need a change in our leadership, because
Yes.
Chuck Schumer's not being effective.
Well, I mean,
And-
hello.
I mean, I don't want to hear about another strongly worded letter. I don't want that. I don't want that. But
Some
I also,
boring letter read
don't-
on the floor with his
Right?
glasses
Right.
down. I mean, oh my God.
right. But also, like, I don't also want Cory Booker standing up and doing an amazing filibuster, but then also voting with the Republicans. Like, I want someone who's going to be what you're asking for, which is someone who's not afraid, who's strong, who's going to stand up and say, fuck this and fuck that and fuck this. This is what we have to do.
Mhm.
So,
I don't see anyone out there like that. And it's hard to find somebody
It's
in
true.
Washington like that because they all sound
Yeah.
like senators or congresspeople. I don't care, again, if it's, look, AOC and I disagree probably on a lot of issues. I fucking love what she's doing. Ma'am Donnie and I probably disagree on a lot. Fucking embrace him.
Yeah.
That's what an awesome campaign he ran. Like, I'm a conservative Democrat, and I want you two and Democrats to embrace me. Well, it
Right.
would be really hypocritical if I didn't embrace him. We're all in the same fucking tent. So I just want
What's interesting-
somebody
yeah.
to fight.
that one's I'm getting it from both sides about Mamdani, only because there's people who are like, no, he's an anti-Semite and he hates Jews and he's not going to fight for the
That's-
Jewish population of New York City. At the same time, I see quotes from him saying, I'm absolute anti-Semitism is unacceptable and I will
Yeah.
fight for the Jewish population
mean,
of New York and protect
yeah.
them. So as an American Jew, my mother and stepdad live in Manhattan, and my mom is going to rank Cuomo, and I'm like, please don't do that. Please
Oh.
don't do that. I begged them. Oh my God, Joe, I begged her to vote for Maya Wiley last time. Don't even get me started.
I love Maya
And
Wiley.
Yeah.
she's amazing. And my stepdad voted for Trump all 3 times. And so like, I don't know what to tell my
Yeah,
mother
no,
and
he's
stepdad
not-
about the New York City mayor's race.
That's a very
what would you have me tell
typical-
them, Joe? What would you, as someone who understands both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, what would you have me tell people who say Mamdani is an anti-Semite, but also he's a democratic socialist, and here's me in the middle going, what? Like, I want to be informed, and I want to be able to have an informed, intelligent discussion about this.
Well, and it's a great question, Tara. Look, I'm off the charts pro-Israel. I'm like idiotically pro-Israel. I think that and I don't know what you two think, I wish he'd come out and deliver a real powerful speech and just address this issue.
That's what I was
wish
asking
he'd
for.
do that, because I think if he does that, do I think he's an anti-Semite? No. Do I think he's super critical of Israel? Hell yeah. But I want to hear him in his own words, because I think this issue could bite him. Cuomo's a piece of shit, but now he's going to run as an independent, and I'll bet they're all going to rally around an alternative to Mamdani. I think to win, Mamdani is going to have to look in a camera and genuinely say where he is on Israel. He's got to address it.
Well, we can invite him on the podcast. And
I would like to do that. That'd be great.
Get into a conversation with people, because what used to happen pre-Trump was that we were able to have political discourse with people who didn't agree with us 100% without it devolving into personal insults or threatening their lives. I am someone, Trump blocked me on Twitter almost 10 years ago exactly. Next month is the 10-year anniversary of getting blocked. He's never unblocked me, not even after the DOJ ordered him to unblock us after he was inaugurated. I like to imagine them putting a list on the Resolute desk, because you can't FOIA request the White House. But I like to imagine he's like, okay, all right, fine. He gets to my name. He's like, no, not that one, not her. If you're afraid of some tiny little 5-foot-tall woman on Twitter for 10 years, how is anyone afraid of you? It's like he's afraid of me and Danny Zucker. I'm like, what is wrong with? And why are you afraid of a mean tweet? I'm sorry, I get it from all sides all the time, and I'm like, okay, Tiny, you're mad at me because Donald Trump lied to you. Sorry, not sorry. So, you know, when I hear people like, well, you know, they're just afraid of him and they're afraid of a mean tweet, I'm like, why?
No, they're afraid of his voters. They want to keep their job. I just think if we Democrats are going to say we're a big tent, and I think we need to be a big tent to win, then we take far left guys like Mamdani, and we take conservative Dems like Joe Walsh and everybody in between. We may disagree on some issues, but man, the alternative is a party that's utterly anti-democracy and the rule of law. That's an easy call.
I know. What's the choice here? And as far as Mamdani being an anti-Semite, he has addressed it, but I think that you should. What you're saying is 100% true. It's sort of like Obama's speech on race that he gave. That was epic. And he just hit it straight on. It was really powerful, and I think that's what Mamdani should do. But he's not. He has made it clear that being anti-Israeli policy in Palestine does not mean you're anti-Semitic. I mean, it's a really lazy correlation that they immediately fall to, and it's disingenuous.
He'll have the opportunity. Right. I think he's 33 years old.
I know.
And a lot of what he did, a lot of what he does is online, and it's fast and cool. I want a genuine sit down, look in the camera, and give me your heartfelt answer to this issue. And I think if he could do that and not give up what he believes, I think he'd make a lot of New York Jews, he'd put a lot of them at ease.
Right. Absolutely.
I think so too. And it's just fostering a real conversation, and a respectful one too, where you give the other person that space to truly explain their platform. And like, I have a friend here, and she's very, very, she was giving it to me hard. She's Jewish, and she's like you, very pro-Israel. And I kept saying to her, I'm like, you can support the people of Israel without supporting its government. Like, you can support the people of America without supporting its current government. Like, I think Netanyahu is a war criminal owned by Putin, just like Donald Trump, and they're working to flatten Gaza to turn it into the Atlantic City of the Middle East. I can say that while still advocating for the people of Israel to remain safe and alive, and for all Palestinians to remain safe and alive. And I don't think that's controversial. I want everybody to leave each other alone to live in peace, Joe. That's what I want, but I'm a naive sweetheart. Like
You're such a naive little lefty. You are.
I'm such a lefty. How dare I want people to live long, healthy lives full of love and understanding. And
You mad women.
Two lefties.
Absolute madness. But I wanted to, another thing I wanted to ask you about, and I'm not trying to,
ask
harp on.
Me anything.
Because I'm genuinely
just
to understand, not to criticize, but to understand. So, because you said that you abandoned Trump, or your eyes were opened after Helsinki. Am I not right? Am I correct there?
No, you're almost right. That was the final. My eyes were open after he first won. But yeah,
Oh, right,
final
right,
straw was
right.
Helsinki.
Because I'm wondering though. Okay, not to be an asshole or anything, but
Like, where the fuck
like,
were you, Joe? What were you thinking?
yeah, because a lot of times I say on my show that it's good that Republicans are coming and seeing the light, but why when he came down the escalator calling Mexicans rapists, why was that okay? I'm really curious to know why. I know that people see what they want to see, and when you're
Totally.
and I'm sure I'm blind to many of my own failings and the things I don't want to see. So as the same thing.
Yeah,
So,
Tara, it's great. It's actually a great question, and I am writing a book from the Tea Party to the Democratic Party, because what a fucking bizarre journey.
Right.
And when I look back at that moment, I didn't pay enough attention to Trump, number one,
right.
and I understood why people were drawn to him. His voters were my voters. His supporters were my supporters. He was a disruptor.
Yeah.
I was a disruptor when I went to Congress. When I went to Congress in 2010, I wanted to burn the place down and go after both parties and start over.
Yeah.
And so I wanted disruption to our political system. So I understood why people were drawn to him. And that's generally why I said, okay, I'll
Right.
fucking vote for him. I hope he plays a lot of golf and doesn't do a lot. I was wrong. I should have paid more attention to, yes, he's a disruptor, but he's an evil disruptor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
yeah.
the moment he won, I started to pay attention to him. And every month, I just moved away from him. But no, Tara, I got to live with that. And I have to go to my grave living with the fact, and I mean this, I helped get him elected. What I did helped lead to Trump. I was proudly Tea Party. Tea Party led to MAGA. It's part of why I still talk to MAGA people every day. I'm a Catholic kid. It's my penance. I've got to try to change hearts and minds,
Yeah.
because I helped to fucking divide this country.
Yeah. No,
But
thank you
here
for your
get
answer.
your
Really.
journey
Thank
of
you.
it. Yeah, no. But see, you are a perfect example of, yes, people can change their opinions. They can change the way they talk about things. They can, and for me, it's you, like you mentioned, Hillary and Obama didn't originally support gay marriage. I think it's you can respond to the information you have at that time. And then
Well,
when more
yeah.
information is made available to you, and you can go, well, I didn't know that. Now I know this, and I can make a better and more, like I said about Mom Donnie. The more I
Yeah.
learn, the better of a decision I can make about somebody. And I'm very curious about people and why they do the things they do. And if I can unlock that, I don't necessarily have to always agree, but I can understand where you're coming from, and I can understand how to deal with you from that point on. It is a very rare thing for a white man in this country to admit he made a mistake, learned from it, and is trying to do better because of it. So that
Oh, I
makes you
fucked
an
up a bunch.
anomaly.
I fucked up a
Well, see, but
bunch. Like if the
just-
three of
but
us were
you can
having this
say it.
conversation 7 years ago, and we were talking about Black Lives Matter, and you said Black Lives Matter to me, I would have said, Tara, screw that. All lives matter.
Yeah. I wish, though, right?
But then,
if only.
You
If
live in
only.
either, and
I took 3 years and I listened to Black Americans, and I then learned why that phrase is so important.
Yeah.
yep.
But it's
Yeah.
only because I listened. I took the time to listen.
And if only more Republicans would do that.
Well,
right?
it's
If only
just.
more
But
of them
I
were
think
as
it's the
brave as you
courage.
were.
It's the courage. That's the difference. I mean, like we're saying, a lot of them, the ones in there now, they are
Yeah.
true believers. Like Mike Johnson, him.
True
Oh my
believer.
He
God.
talk about having to atone. That's somebody that's gonna have. If there is he's gonna meet St. Peter at the pearly gates. He's gonna have a lot of
He's not going up
explaining
there.
to do.
He's not going up
Yeah. Yeah, and just acquiescing the power of the co-equal branch of government. That's what he's done. I mean, all the tariff bullshit, everything that Trump is doing he is doing it. He's able to get away with it because of Mike Johnson is giving him this power illegitimately and not standing up to him. And they have, and even with this big ugly bill that gave, what was it? The budget of ICE is now larger than every other political agency in the country, and some small, and actually the government of France, the military of France has a
Government of
lower
Israel,
budget.
apparently.
Yeah.
The
and this
military of Israel has a lower budget now than ICE.
it's absolutely appalling.
a police state. We're
Yes.
becoming a police state. This is the right wing, utterly radicalized. Yeah.
And that's what I'm afraid of there, because we used to, with all the co-equal branch of government and all that, and the states, all the Republicans were at one time telling us they're all about states' rights. Of course, they're really not, because this police force is, I believe, it is formulated to overcome states' rights. It's going to, like what they're doing in California. They want to invade states, and just like what's her name, Miss Puffy Lips, the puppy killer.
God.
Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem. Her name went out of my head for a second.
She should be forced to go to all the funerals in Texas. All the funerals of the girls who died in Texas.
Yeah.
They should,
but she said,
they wouldn't be welcome, but Kristi Noem should be forced to watch all of the funerals. My brother and his wife are going to Dallas this week on Thursday because Hannah and Rebecca Lawrence, the 8-year-old twins, are 8-year-old twins who died at Camp Mystic. And my brother is a partner in a very large legal firm that has offices across the country. And one of the partners in the Dallas office, it was his daughters, Hannah and Rebecca Lawrence. Wow. And our family is, it's not really a connection to me, but my brother and his wife have 4 daughters, and the 2 youngest ones are twins. And so to hear about, it's devastating at every level. And Kristi Noem is like, well, there were people to answer the phones if people had questions. It's like, fuck you. I want you to go watch 8-year-olds getting buried. That's what you should see.
I'll just say this about Kristi Noem. I served with her in Congress.
Oh, boy.
She didn't act like this back then, and she didn't look like this
I
back
know.
then.
No, she did not.
She looks like a spitting image puppet. You ever see the British show?
Yeah. And every day she changes. It becomes more exaggerated.
Yeah, she was a nice looking woman at one time. She was a normal looking woman, but now she looks like
Corey
a puppet.
Lewandowski thought so, right? Corey Lewandowski was fine with her old face.
Right.
I wish every Democrat was listening to the three of us. And they fully understood what's at stake right now, because I don't think they do.
Right, and that's the other thing. Do you believe that? Yeah, and do you believe that there will be a midterm elections? This is one thing I'm concerned about. You think
50-50.
Yeah.
Trump's plan is to create unrest and put the military on the street. That's his plan. Right. And then to say, oops, nope, no can do, can't have elections.
Right.
And then some states go ahead and do it and some states don't, then everything's fucked up. Yeah. And so then the election's not even legitimate.
Yeah, and then they send ICE in, then they send their Gestapo in to quell the unrest.
It's like
some people are... No, go ahead,
Go.
Joe.
No, Terry, you go.
Well, a lot of people are saying that he's so unhealthy that maybe we won't even have to worry about that. Have you seen the picture of him with the swollen cankles?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a healthy man.
Right? It's weird.
I'll tell you this. I know for a fact if he were 15 years younger, there's no doubt he would run for a third term.
Oh,
no
yeah.
doubt.
Oh, yeah.
He may not have the energy to do it.
Yeah.
Now, we've posited on this show before that they'll never tell us that he's sick, that anything's wrong with him. One day he'll just be dead, and it'll be some bullshit like, our leader was embraced in the arms of Jesus and carried up to God, when actually he died on the toilet like Elvis with his phone in his hand with half a tweet written. That's how
2 weeks earlier, too. It'll be like Henry the Sixth.
Let me ask you one last thing as we're coming up to the end of the hour, Joe. Eventually Trump will no longer be alive. I mean, we all, as Joni Ernst
legally
said, we're all going to die. So, but they don't have another Trump in the party. There's not another one who could do what Trump did. What happens after there's no more Trump?
So
a man can't live forever.
Agreed. I became a Democrat a month ago, purely because I wanted to. But
Mazel.
I believe in the back of my mind, I believe the Republican Party as it is today, it ain't changing. So if Trump died in his sleep tonight, whatever Trumpism MAGA is, it now is the party. And so I think it lives on. There will be other cult figures who will follow. The movement, the base loves J.D. Vance. The base loves Don Jr. Oh, can you imagine?
Oh, no.
And the base loves Tucker. I mean, so Tucker
Yeah, it
Carlson.
could be one. Yeah, it could be any
Oh
of them.
my God!
Could be
we already have a
Marjorie
Fox News
Taylor
that get it
Greene.
straight.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
You guys are a blast.
Thank you.
You are the best.
You are.
Thank you for your time and your generosity. We did not get to my George W. Bush story, but I would love, I'll just come on your. I have a great story about George W. Bush. So I'd love to come on your podcast sometime, Joe. Hey, tell the kids in the chat where they can find you all over the internet. Yeah, no, we'll all do this again. Walsh Freedom on Twitter.
Yes.
And then Social Contract with Joe Walsh is the Substack and the podcast. You guys
all
are
right. You're the best,
we
Joe.
love you. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you to everybody who was here in the chat. Please share this show widely because both Democrats and Republicans should be watching this show every time, but especially when we have the brilliant Joe Walsh with the
I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it.
All right.
Yay! Be like Joe
Walsh.
And we'll see the rest of you on Thursday, same Tara time, same Tara channel, 2 p.m., 11 a.m. And our special guest on Thursday will be Rachel Bidikofer. And we're going to be talking about election stuff with Rachel and all kinds of coolness. So everybody share the show, take care of each other, and don't forget to hold Republicans accountable. Thank you, Joe.
See ya. See you soon.
Mwah, 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 mwah.
Hold on.